What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Best of the British Indies, and this is the second episode technically, but it's the official launch of my new series, Wrestling Reviews. Well, I say new, I did another episode before for Nothing But Wrestling, but this is the proper now debut of this series. So this one I'm going to be... So, recently, I was at Pro Wrestling Subjective's Rukus In Rowley. It was their return show and on the 16th of this month. That was in Rowley, Regis. So they've been... So Steve had been in America doing stuff for the PWS belt and other such things for a couple of months. So PWS hadn't done a show for a while. So this was their official return show. All in all, it went very, very well. In fact, I think it was after the show, Oliver Newman, that is, said that every show has its sort of ups and downs in a way. This was all ups. I do agree with him. Generally, there was not a single down moment of this show, so I'll go into more detail in a minute. So, the first match of the show, the Judge versus 2K. The Judge, the PWS fans obviously very, very familiar with the Judge at this point. He's not very well liked. 2K loved everywhere he goes. He's got such a fantastic gimmick to it. It's extraordinarily entertaining. So this was a match where I did expect the Judge was on top for most of it. There were moments where 2K did manage to get the upper hand, but for the most of it, it was all the Judge. 2K, he did win. He did need to cheat, unfortunately, by using his sort of confetti cannon thing, which he came out with his entrance. That blinded the Judge, allowed 2K to get the I think it was a roll-up pin. I probably remember that wrong, but yeah, I think it was a roll-up pin. Yeah. So 2K won that. Very, very good contest. Like I said, the Judge did dominate most of that. So it was unfortunate 2K had sheep, but that was not a heel turn at all for 2K, so don't get that idea. That was 2K. It's essentially big sort of anti-hero moment where you just do whatever you can to win, really. So yeah, that was a very good match, though. 2K unfortunately did have to cheat, but it was a bit like there were a few people wondering how the referee Stephen Walker didn't see it. Because when he turned round, there was a lot of confetti and smoke in the air. So obviously something had happened, but of course you can't disqualify someone. You can't disqualify a person if you've not actually seen what they've done. So yeah, although it was obvious with all the confetti and everything floating around that something had been done, and the Judge was just lying flat on his back or whatever it was. 2K couldn't be disqualified because the referee not seen what he had actually done. So 2K picked up the win. Not cleanly, but the fans didn't care about that. They were happy either way. So yeah, very good first contest. Very good, very solid opener there from the Judge and 2K. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them, I hope, at Pro Wrestling in the future. Next contest. So I did that all the time with the Elliot Jones experience, which is not out yet, but actually that would make a lot of sense because this came out before that. So I've just realised that saying that makes no sense because you'll see this before that, but there you go. Yeah, great preview for that one then. I coughed a lot during that because I had some stuck in my throat. Anyway, off the top of missing. Second contest, TJ Sky versus Dan Ryder, sorry. TJ Sky, he surprised me in this match because his whole thing is that is born to fly. So, you know, that right there, fly, the word fly sort of implies that it's a lot of... So I'll make sure that I'm centered. I'm actually not. There we are. So the whole fly in there implies that his in-ring style is going to be more towards the quicker pace style flying stuff. And in this match, he surprised me because he was much more grounded. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a very enjoyable match to watch. He works a lot on Dan Ryder's ankle, which was a very smart thing to do because Dan Ryder is known as Mr. 450 with the 450 splash. So I think TJ going to work on the ankle and taking away essentially Dan's biggest move was a very smart thing to do, and it paid off. He did win. I'll go into more detail that in a bit because it wasn't it was a bit of a messy finish. Well, I'll say that. Yeah, I'll go into that more detail in a minute. Anyway, I mean, there were some parts where TJ did pick up the pace a bit and go for more of his finesse moves, I'll call it, as he is well known for. But for the most part, he was very much more grounded. The moves he was doing was very much more submission based, trying to take away the legs and the ankles of Dan Ryder to take away the 450 splash, which I thought was a very smart decision again. And he won. Not after an interference from the usual suspects, who broke up. Yeah. They broke up at nothing but wrestling in, when was that? I think that was it. That was in August. Yeah, that was August the 10th, wasn't it? Yeah. So they broke up. No, was it the 8th? Okay, it was either the 8th of August or the 10th of August. Anyway, yeah. So the usual suspects broke up at nothing but wrestling to focus more on their solo career. However, they are still going on, I think, every other promotion. So that includes, obviously, Pro Wrestling Subjective in the 16th. So the usual suspects came out as well as Chris Drew, who came out with a bit of a crutch. Obviously, something had happened, and he was walking with this crutch, even when not on the card. When just walk around. So that is a legitimate injury, I believe. So that's not a heel trying to sort of generate sympathy or anything. That is a legitimate injury. So Chris Drew, hope you get better soon, mate. But yeah, the usual suspects came out with Chris Drew and surrounded the ring. It looked as if now actually something that confused me, right? This is related to this thing, right? Is that on Twitter a few moments, a couple of days or so before the show, Pro Wrestling Subjective posted on their Twitter the match announcement for TJ versus Dan Ryder, and they shared thoughts from me old, who is Oliver Newman on Twitter, and those thoughts were can't remember the exact thing, but one of the sentences, in the quote, was, "Fans haven't been too pleased since TJ aligned himself with Christopher Drew to get to the top of PWS." Now that confused me because I was at their last show, and as far as I was aware, bear in mind now the last show was, quite a few months ago, so unless I'm forgetting something, but I'm pretty sure I remember something like that big, but as far as I know, TJ Sky had not turned heel at that point, so I was slightly confused there, because, TJ Sky came out at the Rukus In Rowley show as he seemed a little less cheery than before. I mean, the fans were still cheering him, but he seemed a lot more toned down than before, and I think that was a sort of sign of things to come with the turning heel and on Dan Ryder. But yeah, that did confuse me, because in the past show, in their last show, TJ Sky hadn't turned heel yet, so I was he hadn't turned heel, so I wasn't quite sure what that was about. But anyway, So TJ was doing a great job of grounding Dan Ryder. Then Usual Suspects, along with Chris Drew, came out, and they all surrounded the ring, and it did look like it was going to be TJ. Well, I saw constantly TJ Sky and Dan Ryder versus them two, but it looked like TJ and Dan were going to be sort of cornered into working together to fight off the Usual Suspects, and that didn't happen. What happened is, I think it was Corey Johnson, got your name right this time. Corey Johnson distracted Dan Ryder on the on my near side of the ring. Depends, of course, which side of the ring you were sitting if you were there. But on my near side of the ring, Corey distracted Dan Ryder. Chris Drew threw his crutch up to TJ. Once Corey was finished distracting Dan Ryder, Dan turned around, and TJ Sky just unloaded on Dan with the crutch and just kept hitting him constantly. And I'm pretty sure this was a no DQ match, because there's no way I think it was anyway. Was it? Yeah, I think it was, because like I said, there's no way. Wait, no, it wasn't a DQ match. I remember that, because Nathan Lewis, the other member of the Usual Suspects, was keeping the referee distracted. So this is not a no DQ match. This was a regular match, DQ match. So okay, this is a regular one-on-one match. Basically, is what I'm trying to say there. So Nathan Lewis kept the referee Steve Walker distracted while TJ unloaded on Dan Ryder with the crutch. He hit him with what looked like a cross between the Burning Hammer and the Go to Sleep. It was sort of, he had him in the Burning Hammer position on his back. So basically, Dan Ryder was sort of face up along TJ's back, and TJ spinning round, knee onto the head of Dan Ryder, which was looked brutal, I should say. And TJ Sky picked up the win, and after the match, Dan did manage to escape a bit of a beatdown. Well, I assume they're going to give him a beatdown. I don't know why I keep sort of palm slapping. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of the Irish guy on HRTC Sports, so I'm just getting into the habit of doing that now. But anyway, so Dan has managed to get out of the ring before any beatdown could occur. And so TJ, the usual suspects, and Chris Drew were just sort of stood in the ring, taking in the applause. I was the only one applauding them after this, right? The usual suspects and Chris Drew all went to the back room area, and so TJ Sky just stood there for a second, milking the crowd. No one else was doing it. I was the only one there applauding him for what he was doing. I mean, it was more applauding him because I'm a fan of TJ Sky, not what he'd done. But yeah, I was the only one there actually applauding him, and a lot of people noticed that. They gave me a lot of strange looks for that. But yeah, TJ Sky noticed it as well, and then sort of don't stop. So I was applauding him until he headed the pivot to the back. So so TJ Sky has officially turned on the pro wrestling subjective crowd. Well, I'll say that he's turned on PWS themselves because, of course, PWS are a crowd-pleasing show. So TJ Sky has essentially turned on the faithful at pro wrestling subjective, and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see more so what happens with Dan Ryder from here on out, because this was Dan's first show back there in quite a while. He wasn't at their last show before this, and I don't think he was at the previous two shows before that one either, if that makes sense. So going back 3 or 4 shows now, I mean, as I said, memory's not that great, so he may have been there, but he definitely wasn't at their last show, and I don't think he was at the show before their last show, so the past 2 shows, so including PWS now, he wasn't at the last 3 shows, no. Yeah, including this one, he wasn't at those 2 shows, so I don't know what I'm talking about now, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here, because making his return with the loss, I mean, I wouldn't say that he looked bad in that match, not at all, but it will be interesting to see where Pro Wrestling Subjective take him now with a loss on his return, and it'll be interesting to see more so where Pro Wrestling Subjective take TJ Sky now that he's aligned himself with the usual suspects and Chris Drew, because that's a very massive change of attitude from TJ Sky, because he's normally very, very bubbly babyface, very much wanting to come out there, please the crowd, half of all the kids and all that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now with this face turn, and because he's now essentially aligned himself. I mean, he's not part of the usual suspects, because that is still, well, I don't think it is anyway, that's still Nathan Lewis and Corey Johnson primarily, but I think he's aligned himself with that, so with them too, sorry. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes, and how that impacts on the usual suspects at Pro Wrestling Subjective and TJ Sky at Pro Wrestling Subjective. But all in all, very good match, and unexpected, but yeah, a very unexpected outcome, but at the same time a very effective outcome as well. It definitely got the crowd talking. So right, now on to, sorry, I've just realised, I know this is going to be a bit of a dampen on the whole aesthetic of the 2 like banners there and the like nice little microphone there, but you can see the wire clearly coming out from underneath my top, my wrestling subjective top, like, because when I do these, I either like to plug, well, I'm already plugging them by just doing the V on it, but I like to wear the merchandise of the promotion that did it. But yeah, I've just realised, like, you could actually see, like, can you? I'm not wearing my glasses. Yes, you can. You can see the cable coming from my top round there to my laptop. So Didn't realise that. Sorry about that. I'm not talking to you about that because I can't tuck that behind me because then the cable will get pulled and that'll damage it. So yeah, sorry about that little eyesore there, but there you go. Yeah. Anyway, on to the third match. This was the main event. Wait, was it? Hang on. Bear with me a second. This was yes. This was the main event of the first half. So this was the Elliot Jordan Experience versus CJ Rawlings, the other half of the. Is that Alter Ego he's the other half of? Yeah. Because CJ Rawlings and 2K also form a tag team known as Alter Ego. I think that's yeah. Because I remember CJ Rawlings show was also in a tag team called like the Good Looking Guys or something like that. But that might have been with Joey Scott. Anyway, that's gone off the mouth. Yeah. So this was CJ Rawlings, the other half of Alter Ego, along with 2K, against. Right now, again, I did this this introduction for the Elliot Jordan Experience in his interview, which again you won't see yet. You'll see this before that. But anyway, yeah. So I'll see if I can get it right this time. I did get it wrong. I did sort of butcher it a bit in that one. So I'll see if I'll get it right. So he would like me to remind you that he's not that. Sorry. His hairstyle is not bold. He's deliberately, I think it's deliberately, it's either that or purposely. Anyway, he's deliberately streamlined and aerodynamic. His beard is a shock-absorbing tactical master stroke, not piece, which I accidentally said in the interview I did with him. Then there's something about like the alpha male. He's the alpha male, and he's now this is the part that always get mixed up. He's soon to be celebrating certain success in the VIP room of a nightclub that you cannot get into. I really hope I got that right. So yeah, Elliot, if you're watching this, just let me know if I think I did the same as in your interview. So I hope. So I think I got that completely wrong. Yeah, I'm sure he'll come in. I'm sure he'll correct me about that. But yeah, this is So I'm trying to see if I'm centered. Yeah. Anyway, this is Sorry. This was the Elliot Jordan Experience versus CJ Rawlings in the main event of the first half. Sorry, not the actual entire show. That was late on, obviously. So this is the main event of the first half. All in all, very good, very solid match. There was a lot of back and forth between the two of them. There was no one point, as far as I can remember anyway, where one person was particularly dominant in that match. As far as I can remember. I mean, bear in mind, I'm filming this on the 19th. 16th was on Sunday. Yeah, so 17th was on Monday. Yeah, so I filmed this on the 20th. Hang on. Yeah, I thought so, yeah. So I filmed this on the 20th, which is 4 days after the show. So I might be remembering this wrong. If I am, then I do apologise to you both for getting your match wrong. But as far as I can remember, there's no one point where either man was dominating particularly. I don't mean that in a bad way. It was very evenly spread. There was lots of back and forth action. And for the pacing of the match was really good as well because what often happens is that you sort of now I've seen this quite a lot. Never at pro wrestling subjective, and I hope it stays that way. But I have seen this in other independent matches quite a bit. Is that what happens is the action will start off quite slow, and then they'll realise, oh wait, we're running out of time, and then they'll really quickly speed it up, and then someone will win, and you just think, what happened there? So, but that wasn't the issue this time at all. The pacing was absolutely brilliant. There were no. Sorry, my dog outside. I realised you can't hear that because the microphone won't pick it up. But anyway, yeah, there's no one moment where either man was particularly dominant in this. They were both pretty evenly matched up this entire thing, I'd say. It was only. Now, see, I got this finisher wrong in the other review I did of the Nothing But Wrestling show in August. I called it just a jumping DDT, and it's not that. It is apparently called the Streamlined Aero Driver. So it was Elliot Jordan the Elliot Jordan Experience who picked up the win with the Streamlined Aero Driver on CJ Rawlings. That was to end the first half, or we're headed into the interval, which I will talk about a bit. Wait, will I? Don't tell me that. No. Thinking, I say the evening photos with Zaya that happened with Zaya, that is, but no, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I don't talk about the interview. Nothing really happened there. People just walking around. Anyway, yeah. So the Elliott Jordan experience picked up the win with a streamlined aero driver on CJ, and all in all, this is a very good, very solid match. Thought it was a very good match to end the first half of the show with, and it does. And the Elliott Jordan experience had now picked up quite a decent winning streak. Both at wait. Now I'm not going to include PWS in this because this is their return show, so obviously they've been inactive for a couple of months. But in other promotions such as Nothing But Wrestling, and actually I'm not sure because before this show, the Elliott Jordan experience was in a match against, I think it was Marshall X, at Nothing But Wrestling, and I wasn't there for that, so I didn't see if the Elliott Jordan experience won that. But if he did, then aligning this result now with that result from MBW and his previous win for Kamikaze Pro, the Elliott Jordan experience is going on quite a winning streak at the moment, and I think he's definitely one, regardless of which promotion it is, to keep an eye out for, because he is a very, to be fair, him and CJ both are massively, I think, underappreciated performers. I think that they've got a very good understanding of what makes a heel-face match good. They always pace things really well, so there's no really weird sort of rush moments at the ending where they sort of realise, oh wait, we've been drawing this out for a bit too long, so we need to end it now. There was none of that at all, so they both understand, and they both got very good chemistry in doing together. They both play to each other's strengths, so much so that the weaknesses aren't really evident at all. And I do think they are two of the arguably most underrated, I think, performers. Just I've seen them flat out. I don't think they get the credit they deserve at all. I think that if you're at Pro Wrestling Subjective, or Kamikaze Pro, or MBW, Nothing But Wrestling, then you're going to see one of those two people there, because Elliott Jordan is a regular at all three of those, and CJ is a regular. I think he's a regular at Nothing But Wrestling. I'm pretty sure he is anyway. Yeah, but yeah, great match, paced brilliantly. Elliott Jordan did pick up the win with the streamlined aero driver to close out the match, and a very good. I'd say a very good. I think it could have gone a little bit longer, but that's just my that's not a criticism of the match itself. That's just me. That's just my subjective opinion. I mean that I love long matches, though that might be to everyone's taste. So for everyone else that might be perfect, but I will like. But again, that's me being a fan of them as performers and wanting to see them for as long as I possibly can. So yeah, but all in all, great match, fantastically paced, and I think a deserved win. Not deserved loss, but if that makes any sense. But yeah, a great win for the Elliott Jordan experience in that. So the second half, so yeah, I didn't talk about the interval because I didn't think there's any point about that. I suppose I'm not quite sure why I keep saying so at the end of the match to talk about, then I just leave it there. Like, so what am I saying supposed to be? So like, that's a great match. So well, I don't know why I'm saying that. But anyway, that's beside the point. So second half, first match of the second half, usual suspects versus Harry Cruz and Liam Roberts. Now, I will apologize in advance to Liam Roberts, because I've seen him I've seen him twice now at Coventry Pro Wrestling, and he wrestles there as a Will Star, and so that's just how, and I keep calling him Will Star everywhere now. It's because that was the first two times that I'd seen him was as Will Star. So I am, and in the match at Pro Wrestling Subjective, whenever Will Star was in there, Liam Roberts, whenever Liam Roberts was in the ring, I kept going, come on Will Star, even though he only wrestles at Will Star at Coventry. Everywhere else, it's Liam Roberts. So I think this is going to be another Corey Johnson / Corey Peter thing. I'm never going to get the name right. They're called Corey Johnson is his name, is his in-ring name. Corey Peter is his real life name. So, but yeah, to Liam, if I get your name wrong, I'm sorry, okay? Not much I can do about it, because I'm just so used to CPW. Anyway, so first match, the second half is what I meant to say. Usual suspects, so that was Nathan Lewis and Corey Johnson versus Liam Roberts and Javi Cruz. Sorry, I'm really sorry there, mate. I forgot your name there. Yeah, I thought this is a very solid match. The usual suspects were, as far as what I can remember anyway, pretty dominant throughout the entire thing, and I think that suited them well. I think both Javi Cruz and Liam Roberts had their moments where they came in and they did change the complexion, but then they were quickly stopped in their tracks, and that worked well. That's not a criticism of them because they worked it well, but I think the way the match worked in that Liam and Harry playing the sort of both essentially playing the whole babyface Imperial role. So every time a tag was made between the two, they would get in there, they would do pretty well for a bit, and then they would get shut down, and then have to make the tag. So I think they did that very well, and I think Usual Suspects did a great job of boosting that whole story alive. So that makes a lot of sense, but sort of bringing the story that sort of whole story to life thing, and really making it evident that they are. I mean, they didn't cheat. Well, I say they. Usual Suspects, that is, they didn't cheat so much in the match. Well, then at all, as far as I can remember, but they did do a very good job of shutting down Liam and Harry when they needed to, and there was a bit of a scuffle at the end. Not a bad thing, by the way. I know I keep saying that's not. I don't know why I keep needing to clarify it's not a bad thing, but it wasn't. So let's make sure it's still centered. Sorry about the wire, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, there was a bit of a scuffle at the end. Not a bad thing again. Where, in fact, I think Liam even went to pin the wrong person because again, it got a bit confusing because he wasn't quite sure who was the legal man. I mean, you knew that Liam was legal, but I was, at that point, I wasn't sure who the legal man was out of the Usual Suspects. So it got to the point that everyone was sort of in the ring doing their own thing. I mean, Stephen Walker was doing a great job of keeping track of that because I don't know, I would have just lost that completely. But yeah, it just got to the point where you just couldn't really tell. Not what was going on, but who was legal man out the usual suspects. I think it was in the end. I think it was Corey who was legal because I think I remember Stephen saying to after Liam tried to pin Nathan that Nathan was the legal man, and Corey then rolled out the ring so they couldn't take the pin. So I think for that bit, Corey was the legal man, and they used that confusion well because if I remember correctly, I apologise if I'm not. The usual suspects capitalised on the confusion of Liam by taking him out and then managing to get him with a pin for the win. So that was very good, solid opening match. I think the result worked in the way the match flowed. So in a bit of a contrast there to the first match with 2K and the judge, where the judge was mostly pretty much in control of that match. The result from this one, the Usual Suspects beating Liam and Harry, it worked well to how the flow of the match went, in the fact that for the most part the Usual Suspects were pretty dominant over Harry and Liam for that. And it was very, I don't know why I went to pause there, I still have a bit need to talk about with that. There was, yeah, I think it was a win that made sense in the long run, and I was quite surprised actually because I was half expecting TJ Sky to come out, not like with them, but at the end when the Usual Suspects had won, because obviously, as I previously mentioned, TJ Sky had turned heel on Dan Ryder, not on Dan Ryder, he wasn't with Dan Ryder, but he turned heel on the crowd also, and aligned himself with the with the Usual Suspects, sorry. So I was half expecting TJ Sky to come out after the match and be sort of trying to get the audience into sort of applauding the Usual Suspects. So I was quite surprised that he didn't, but not a bad thing at all. I just thought that it would have been made for a more interesting development in that storyline to see TJ Sky come out at the end of the match. But again, not a bad thing. It didn't take away from anything at all, the fact that they didn't come out at all, so not a bad thing at all. But Yeah, overall, very good match. The result did tell the story, I think, of the match. So I think it was. I don't think Liam and Heidi did a great job, but I think it was a pretty convincing win for the Just Suspects. So the Pro Wrestling Subjective Women's Championship match was on the line next. This was Athena Fure, who is the first ever and still current Pro Wrestling Subjective Women's Champion, against Zaya Brookside, who is a very, very big star at this point. Of course, done tours over in Japan and America, and of course has appeared on WWE UK along with Millie McKenzie, and she will of course be competing in the, I believe it is anyway, the upcoming, again I'm not kept to date with WWE, but I believe she's competing in the upcoming inaugural Mayon Classic, but that's beside the point. So this match, Athena versus Zaya Brookside for the Pro Wrestling Subjective Women's Championship. Now, I think Zaya was the favourite for this one, simply because of her experience. But that Athena did not let that phase her in the slightest. I think the contest, it's now Athena came out with what was her minion. So this was a sort of a very well built person in a sort of Spartan helmet thing, because of course that is Athena's. I mean, Athena is the goddess of fire. So she's playing into that, bringing out her minion in the whole Greek helmet thing. So Athena came out. Before start of the match, she cut a little promo where she went on to say she's the dominant face of pro wrestling subjective. She's beaten Charlie Evans and Millie McKenzie, though Charlie did make the point. I'll say that Charlie Evans and Millie, they went on card there in the crowd. Charlie did make the point that that was only after she's the helmet, so you can't really argue with that. But yeah, the point still stands though. Athena is the reigning and defending Pro Wrestling Subjective Women's Championship and does have wins over the likes of Nightshade, Millie McKenzie, Charlie Evans, and more. So she's beaten she's beaten a decent amount of very well respected competitors, but this was, I think, going to be arguably her biggest challenge yet in Zaya Brookside. So after Athena, of course, had gone on to say, I'm the best, I've beaten all these people, and then went on to say, bring out my opponent and all that. So Zaya did come out. Athena's big build. She's well built but quite small, and she used that to her advantage in the fact that she's stronger than she looks. And she's also very quick, and that makes her very dangerous. For the most part, actually, Athena wasn't doing a lot of cheating in this. I mean, there was one moment where Athena was keeping the referee distracted, and the minion did attack Zaya Brookside. So that was a bit of a dodgy moment. But for the most part, there wasn't a whole lot of cheating. Now, the end result did end with Athena pinning Zaya Brookside with her feet on the rope, so essentially an illegal pin. So she did cheat to win, but she cheated surprisingly less than I was expecting her to. And I was having a bit of a debate with myself over the result of this, because part of me thinks that if you have a champion who continues to cheat to win, then sort of devalues the belt they're defending, because they never defend it cleanly, if that makes sense. So I was having a bit of a debate with myself when I was driving home, because I was thinking, I am a fan of Athena, but I want to see her win more matches cleanly, because I think the more matches you win by DQ or by cheating or basically by non-clean methods, like a heel would normally do, then sort of essentially devalues the championship they're holding. And the reason I was debating with this is because part of me agrees with me on that, but another part of me thinks, well, it suits her character. She's a Weasley character who will do whatever it takes to win, so in that respect it works, and it's not, in this case, devalue the title at all. I mean, she's done this many times where she'll use a helmet or she'll distract the referee or something like that, and she'll use that to advantage to win. And some people, including half of me, says that's a bad thing, half of me says that's a good thing, because half of me says, again, that devalues the title if you constantly cheating to win, but another half of me says that it suits her character. So I'm a bit split down the middle there. But ignoring that, it was a very good match. Xia Brookside had a lot of offense going on. She did suffer a bit of a nasty landing when Athena threw her out of the ring. That was literally right in front of me, and from what it looked like, Xia sort of banged her, I think it was her right knee, on the chair next to me, because she landed and sort of span over, so that the chair was there. So the chair was sort of there, and then her legs sort of went like that onto the chair. So it looked like she suffered a bit of an injury there. It didn't look. I mean, she was limping a bit throughout the rest of the match, but I wasn't quite sure if that was selling it or not. And then she did limp off with a very heavy limp after the match went back with Stephen Walker. So I wasn't quite sure. So I was a bit, well, I say a bit, I was very largely concerned at that point, because I think I really hope she isn't injured, obviously. But then, of course, she came out after the show absolutely fine. So I'm hoping she's okay. Zai, if you're watching this, I do hope your leg is okay. It seemed to be absolutely fine after the show, so I'm pretty sure that was selling it for the purpose of the match. I'm hoping it was anyway, but yeah, I hope it wasn't nothing too serious. But yeah, bit of a national landing there. But overall, the match, I'd say, was evenly split. I'd say Xia had a lot of offense going on, but Athena was very good, very effective at shutting her down very quickly. And yeah, it's unfortunate that Athena. Now, I will say forward to the Xia loss, because I was cheering Xia this. I'm a fan of Athena. I'm a fan of how she does her in-ring work. I'm a fan of her character. But of this one, I was supporting Xia Brookside. So it is unfortunate for me anyway. I know that some of you want, that's absolutely fine if I want Athena to win, that's fine. But for me personally, it was unfortunate that Xia lost, because I did want her to win this. But at the same time, I felt it was a very deserved win. I thought that Athena did really well to keep Xia quiet and not completely effectively. Obviously, Xia did get a lot of good offense in, but for the most part, Athena did a pretty good job of keeping Xia under control. It's just unfortunate that she then needed to pin Xia with her feet on the ropes to get the win. As I do think Athena is capable of beating just about anyone on her day without cheating. I think she can be one of the most dominant women in the UK. I just think it's unfortunate that she needs to cheat to win, but that's more of a criticism because of my personal opinion, not the match itself. Because the cheat, so I think the cheat worked in the match. It told the story that Athena doesn't care how she wins as long as she wins, and it worked in that moment. So it's just my personal opinion anyway, that it was unfortunate that she needed to cheat to win, but ignoring that, it was a very good result. I hope your leg's okay. It looks absolutely fine after the match, but let's just keep fingers crossed. And yeah, Athena continues her reign of dominance over the women's division. My question is, who is her next challenger? Because Athena has faced Millie McKenzie, Charlie Evans, Nightshade, Barbie Rogue, Xia Brookside. So she's faced a pretty decent. So she's faced a fair share of fairly large names. So my question now is, who steps up to the plate to take that belt away from Athena? Because Athena's been the only real mainstay in the female division. She's been the only one to, anyway, as far as I remember anyway, to be at every single one of their shows. The others have been sort of, I think Millie was at 2 shows. Yeah, Millie teamed with Nightshade one time, and Charlie Evans the second time. So Millie, I think, is the only. No, I think Millie, Bobby Rogue, and I think Shauna Shea have appeared there quite a few times. So I think those 3 are the only ones there to make more than one. I mean, like I said, this is going about many shows now, so I might be forgetting something. But yeah, I'm interested to see who, not only who her next challenger will be, but who can take the belt off Athena. Because after the promises she's given, it's going to have to be a very convincing win by whoever is her next challenger to convince us that Athena did take that loss. So I'm curious to see. I know that I just realised that didn't make a whole lot of sense saying that it has to be a convincing win, but I am curious to see who comes in next to challenge Athena and potentially take that belt off her, because whoever's going to be that person, when and if they do take that belt off her, it's going to open up a brilliant opportunity for a new story and for a new feud between Athena and whoever that person is. That can be a fantastic feud. So I am looking forward to see who that person is and when and if they can take that belt off Athena. Now, the third and final match of the second half. This was the Pro Wrestling Subjective Championship on the line. This was Steve Valentino against Chief Deputy Damien Dunn. Now, of course, Steve Valentino, he is he is the embodiment of pro wrestling. Subjective. He has put his blood, sweat, and tears into this promotion. So he was a massive fan favourite in this. And Damien Dunn, of course, he is no stranger to PWS. He's been at quite a few pro wrestling subjective shows now, so he is certainly no stranger to them. And this was, I can only say, easily match of the night. This is absolutely phenomenal. There were many other good matches, but this one was just... This is something that... right now, as far as I'm concerned, let's put it this way, right? Pro Wrestling Subjective is, as far as I'm concerned anyway, one of the best promotions in the UK. Not necessarily the biggest, I do think it's underrated in that respect, but it's still, as far as I'm concerned anyway, one of the best promotions in the country. And this match just proved it, to be honest. There was, Steve Valentino comes out as the private captain. Everyone adores the guy. He's absolutely, he loves the kids, he loves the crowds, he loves everyone. He's just such an easy guy to get behind and cheer for, and that made, and that helps elevate Damien Dunn's position on the match as a heel even more, because having such a massively popular babyface and such polar opposite gimmicks, because of course Steve Valentino loves fun. I mean the whole private thing, he loves having fun with what he does, and the whole, we all know now that Chief Deputy Dunn's thing is no fun, the whole no fun police, the whole like no fun police. So the two gimmicks worked brilliantly together. The whole I want fun, no, let's have no fun thing, it complemented each other really well, and the in-ring style complemented each other really well. Now, see, I said this at my the last video I did of the MBW show, that I don't like to analyse the in-ring performances, because I'm not an analyst of... I've never wrestled in my life. I never planned to wrestle, so in that respect, I've got no right to be talking about how they pulled off one move, but I can talk about how the moves flowed, and I think that they flowed really well. I think that the story of the match flowed brilliantly. I think... Sorry. Now, I did mention in the CJ Rawlings versus the Eric Jordan match that I think that could have gone on a little bit longer. Again, not a criticism of them, just my personal opinion, my personal style, like long matches. And I think this match was the perfect length. Now, I know that a lot of matches go on for well over hours, like mainly the Okada and Omega matches, but this one, for the main event of the independent show, I thought this one was paced brilliantly, flowed beautifully, and the timing of it, like how long it went on, was absolutely spot on. I didn't feel like the ending didn't feel forced or rushed in any sort of way. Like the way that Steve and Damien Dunn were working with each other, they knew what they were doing. They knew how to bounce off each other to make the moves and storytelling that much more compelling, and they knew how to get the audience involved much more. They've got it's clear. If they're not, I'll be very surprised if they're not good friends outside the ring, because they got such good chemistry in the ring that it would surprise me, and that's often the case, that best friends out the ring make great. Making great opponents of it in the ring. So I would be surprised if they're not friends outside the ring, because the chemistry they share is absolutely impeccable. The match did spill to the outside. I think it was halfway through the match-ish, or maybe it was... Anyway, at some point in the match, I can't remember exactly when it was, but at some point the match did spill to the outside. It's been quite a bit of time outside actually, because the referee just gave up counting at this point, and Steve Valentino kept sort of going half in the ring and then half out again to keep resetting the count back to 1. So they spent a lot of that match outside of the ring, and they were doing so much knife edge chops out there. Like like it sounded absolutely lethal. I'm chopping my hand down. I don't know why, because that's not how it sounded. But there were a couple of spots there on that side of the ring where sorry, I'll keep wiping my nose. I've got a really itchy nose. There were a couple of spots outside the ring where I think it was Damien Dunn had Steve Valentino standing against the outside of the ring post, and he went with the chop, hit them a few times, and then of course, as everyone knows how happened at this point, Steve did duck them, so Damien chopped the post, which obviously sounded really nice. Sounded painful more than anything. So, and then of course Steve turned around and started chopping Damien on the post, and they kept the action on the outside for quite a bit of time actually. And I thought that was really, really smart, because the match was a no DQ match, but they were pushing it. They didn't break any rules, but they were sort of borderline push it. They were trying to push the rules as much as they could to get the best boss match they could out of a no DQ match. So, and I thought they did that really well. I thought that the psychology they shared of knowing, because they didn't stay out of the ring so long that it got stale. They got back in when they thought, okay, we did all we can out here, so let's get back in the ring now, and then carry on in there. So they did very well in knowing when to be in and out of the ring, and that suited the flow of the match really well. Now, Steve Valentino did pick up the win with a sort of, I'm not even sure what you call it, to be honest, which probably sounds really bad, but I'll try to describe the move to you. He got Damien up on his shoulders, and then he sort of, I'll describe it as sort of opposite of a, wait, would it be a Michinoku driver? I can't remember what that is. Yeah, no, I'll describe it as sort of weird version of a Michinoku driver, essentially. I'll say that. Probably wasn't that at all, but I don't know what else to call it. Which doesn't sound very good for a wrestling fan, I know that. But he got Damien up on his shoulders. So let's say that Damien's legs were there and his head was there. So what Steve did then was he slammed him so he sort of so what you'd expect really was for Steve to go like that essentially and tip Damien Dunn in sort of driver / slam sort of fireman slam sort of thing, but no, he did the way actually, and then I'm just going to call it a modified spine buster. I don't know why I'm making this so complicated, but I'm going to call it a modified spine buster because he slammed Damien Dunn like that, so that he was going down essentially on a spine buster. So that did end the match there. So Steve Valentino did retain the match. Did retain the championship. Sorry, sorry about that. I've really not been. The flow of this really hasn't been great, has it? I'll keep burping and coughing and scratching and it's like that, don't I? So, sorry about that. I'm not talking about that, but yeah, Steve Valentino did retain the title, I should say, not the show. He did retain the title with that. I'm sure that just like Elliot Jordan did on Twitter, the first time I called his finish with a jumping DDT, he corrected me by calling the streamlined air driver. I'm sure that Steve Valentino will. Well, I'm hoping he does anyway. Correct me in this because I can't remember what the name is. I'm really sorry, Steve. I've gotten. They look great, very effective, but I can't remember the name of it, and I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, apart from me not being able to remember the name of that, that was a very good. The finish was really good as well. I think that they both got their fair share of offense in, so that it didn't look like an underdog match. So it didn't look like Steve was having to fight for everything, but at the same time, it didn't look like Damien Dunn wasn't providing competition for him. It looked like it was very evenly spread, very evenly contested, and All in all, I think the result told the story of the match well. I think that the move that Steve used was... It looked like it was not a light-hearted... Well, it wasn't your sort of basic, just slam thing, as can be quite an anticlimactic finish. But I think that the move was quite a... For me anyway, I thought that the move Steve performed was essentially a very big sort of exclamation point on the match, saying this is the end now, and I thought that works really, really well. So all in all, massively deserved win by Steve, but at the same time, Damien did a fantastic job at really essentially making Steve even bigger hero when he won, because Damien is so fixated on taking the fun out of wrestling. So Damien did it. So well, no, I said they both did a fantastic job in their respective roles. They both bounced off each other really, really well. The chemistry of the match flowed brilliantly. The moves flowed. The story was told really effectively as well, and I don't think that match could have been improved at all, to be honest. I think that the ending was good, great. Sorry, the flow was great. Everything worked out brilliantly. So, all in all, I'll say that was a very positive way to end the show. And on that was the end. That was the final result, final match of the show. Sorry. So, overall for the show, I was massively impressed. As I said before, with Oliver Newman, he did mention that every show has its peaks and valleys. That's what he said. So that's what I forgot at the start. He said that every show has its peaks and valleys. So basically, high points and low points. And he did say, and I agree with him here, that this show had no valley. This was all peaks. Basically, this was Pro Wrestling Subjective's return show after a good couple of months out, and this was all peaks. And it was such a fantastic... I mean, I want to talk about the production as well, because it was such a massive step up from their last show. Because like they had professional TV cameras, they had TV lights, they had everything. I mean, it looked like they were doing this for I mean, it looked like they were filming a whole TV show. It looked so professional, and I think that as a return show, coming back from a couple of months out where Steve was in America doing some music and wrestling stuff, I thought coming back with not only with the show but with the production as well, I thought it was such a good positive way to come back, and I can only hope that this is. I do think I remember someone saying that they were doing a sort of documentary there. That might be completely wrong. If it is, then I'm sorry, but I remember someone saying there that the reason there were TV people there is because they were doing a sort of documentary. So if that's the case and it's a one-off, that is unfortunate. But I hope that the setup they have, whether or not they've got all the big cameras and microphones back in, I hope that they keep the other setup, because what they had this time was a proper stage. They didn't just have a curtain where you would come out and then that was it. They had an actual stage with steps leading down, and you could walk around the ring and then get into the ring. And they had a Titan as well. That's how they had a Titan on. As far as I can remember, I can't remember their last show, because again, quite a few months now. That was also Female Division, so but I don't think they had a Titan on there. So they had lights, they had everything you want. They had a Titan on this time. As I say, every single wrestler had their own custom Titan on, and I think the production value. I mean, remember, this is an independent show in Valley Regis, in the Valley Learning Centre. So this is not WWE. I mean, I know that's getting more and more common for independent promotions to have those sort of Titan things, that, you know, the sort of big screen things. But I think this is the first time they used it, and it just made it just elevated the production of the show to that next level. I think if this is out on DVD, which I hope it will be, or if not, then I hope, Steve, if you're watching this, which I hope you do, I hope to God that show is out on DVD at some point, because that was such a, I mean, for a return show, that was the best way you could have returned possible. And if not on DVD, then I hope you think about doing a subscription service, because I know that a lot, like professional sort of subjectives getting bigger by the show, and I mean sometimes there's, and whether there's 10 people or 50 people there, the crowd make noise, and it's just I mean, the crowd knows what they're going to get with post subjective as well. Returning fans like myself go there now because we know that we're going to get one of the best independent shows we can possibly get, and new fans go there, you know, because they have. I mean, I don't know what I'm about this one with the whole crowd and everything, but yeah. See, if you were watching this, I would seriously think about a subscription service or getting them out on DVD, because I know that a lot of people who can't make it to the shows but want to watch them would massively appreciate the opportunity to watch it on demand or on a DVD. So I think actually it'd be a good idea to get a sort of big cartel store. I say that, I've got no idea how it works. That might not be possible, but yeah, I think that'd be something to look into, because I know that a lot of people would love can't get there, but would love the opportunity to be able to witness what myself and many other people speak so highly about, and I think it would be great exposure as well. But yeah, that was a show. Sorry for bumbling on about that at the end there. Overall, fantastic show, great return, great way to make your return after a couple of months out. The next show, I was talking to the PWS Twitter account, and I think they said that their next show is on the 25th of November, but I can't quite remember. No, I'll just double check this actually. And just like last time when I got the guy's name wrong, I won't cut this out because I'm going to make my mistakes public, because I'm an idiot like that. But there you go. Yeah. So yeah, November 25th is their next show. So that will also so that will also be in Valley Regis. There's no details on that yet, obviously, because it's still a couple of months away. Well, over 2 months away now. So yeah, next show, November 25th. If you haven't made it down there yet, do absolutely everything you can to. It's at the Valley Regis Learning Centre, or I think it's like Valley Learning Campus. I'll tell you what, I'll get the address for you now. I'll say I'll get it up. I will tell you the postcode and everything like that. Yeah, right. So the address is Valley Regis. Obviously, the postcode for this is hang on. Sorry, I'm messing everything up here. Sorry, little tech problem here. There we are. Okay, right, here we are. Right, so that's the train station. Okay, right, so here we are. Okay, got it now. Right, so the address is, the postcode is B65 UK. So if that doesn't come up with anything though, just type in Valley Learning Centre or Valley Learning Campus, or if you want to, you can put that on fourth now. Go to Pro Wrestling Subjective on Facebook, go to their events, and then go to the show before September the 16th, as that's got the actual address of it. Yeah, it is called Valley Learning Campus, but I can't remember the actual street or postcode, or this postcode anyway. So yeah, but yeah, next show, Valley Learning Campus, November 25th. If you've not been to if you can make it and you've not been to one of their shows yet, then make it. Believe me, you will not regret it. If you've been to their shows, then you don't need me to tell you what to expect. You know it's going to be a great show. I will obviously be there. What I will do that time is I will do this review at the show, because this is now coming for, well, no, by the time this is out, it'll be 5, potentially even 6 days after the show. So I'll be doing this on the night to make sure that it's completely fresh. If you've not made it, then make it. If you haven't made it, then you don't need me telling you to make it, because you already know how good they're going to be. But yeah, that was my review. Next show, November 25th, be there if you can. And I will hopefully be going to New Star Pro Wrestling on the 30th. That I won't be doing an interview there though, but I will be doing a review either there or. Regardless of when I do the review for that, I will be doing a review for that. So my next review will be for New Star Pro Wrestling on the 30th. New Star Pro Wrestling, that is, sorry, on the 30th of this month. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching this video. And I will see you. Well, I'll say I can't say when I'll see you next because you'll see my interviews before you see my next wrestling review. So I hope you enjoy my upcoming interviews. I'll say my next wrestling review, New Star Pro Wrestling on the 30th, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace out. What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you liked it, make sure you hit that like button, and if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and enable notifications. And if you want to see more videos like the one you just watched, then make sure you click on the playlist linked somewhere in this general region, I believe.